I remember when I started my law firm, right, almost a decade ago. And I remember that I built out my website on Squarespace. And I had one of those typical lawyer poses. I had my hands folded, business. And I was wearing a suit. And I was like, hey. I think that was the theme of the, hey, I mean business. And I was in a different practice area, but that was my first website. But I remember when I was like, okay, it's going to go live. And then I posted on Facebook, like, www.toslegal.com is open. And I was like, there you go. It's what you've been all waiting for. And I published my website. And yeah, I heard crickets. Crickets. Hey, Elevated Esquires. It is Tammy Shiambade, your host. And let's jump into it today. I'm so excited to just be talking to my legal professionals, all the legal professionals in the room. Go ahead and say, hey. I want us to talk a little bit about some business things. Now, as I jump into it, what I want us to focus on today is really talking about how lawyers get their clients for real. Like, let's talk about it. But I think it's important to kind of tell you guys might be like, Tammy, we see you do your videos for your clients. Now, why are you doing these videos for lawyers? Part of it is because, and I was reflecting on this, I have been coaching other legal professionals for a long time. On this, like, in a way that I've never really publicly spoken about, but I've done it really to a significant amount, and I get to see a lot, so I know a bit about what I'm talking about. So I'll give you a couple of examples. When I was, there was a time where I was a consultant for my alma mater. They had a solo incubator. So for new attorneys, people who were trying to start their law firms, they had an incubator program, and they had people who consulted, and I was one of their primary consultants. So people who were fresh out of law school trying to start their law firms would meet with me. We would talk about all things starting their law firm, and we'd help get them on the right path. So I did that for a number of years. And then at some point I shifted, and one of the roles that I got to play was with a legal tech company. And in that, I was literally a coach that helped them in terms of formulating parts of their overall coaching program. So I had the opportunity to help them with some of their ongoing programs, help them with their different levels of programs, help them with the curriculum for that, meet with people one-on-one. So I met with law firm owners of all sizes across the nation, like every week, all the time, in group capacities and one-on-ones. I've literally helped hundreds of legal professionals. And so at this point, it's like I still get opportunities to go and speak to people, and I go and I talk at different places. I go to bar associations, but there's never been a place and a space where I've been able to just like talk directly to the legal professionals, without any of the red tape, and just like, it's me and you, let's talk. And so that's part of what Elevated Esquire is too. Like, let's just talk about this thing. Let's talk about our profession. When we were in law school, we did not get all of the education that's usually necessary for starting a business. I mean, a lot of people don't, but I would say lawyers really don't. We don't get any type of additional training when it comes to starting a business. And I was the same way. And I started my law firm pretty quickly after graduating. And so I've learned so much along the way. And one of the things that I've learned is like, getting clients is not automatic. It's not. I remember when I started my law firm, right, almost a decade ago. And I remember that I built out my website on Squarespace. And I had one of those typical lawyer poses. I had my hands folded, business. And I was wearing a suit. And I was like, hey. I think that was the theme of the, hey, I mean business. And I was in a different practice area, but that was my first website. But I remember when I was like, okay, it's going to go live. And then I posted on Facebook, like, www.toslegal.com is open. And I was like, there you go. It's what you've been all waiting for. And I published my website. And yeah, I heard crickets. Crickets. No one. And I was like, wait, what happened? And it was after that, I was like, yo, no one told me that like I would have to like actively like try and get people to become my clients. I just thought that they were all waiting for me because like it's me. So I'm being a little extra, but I did not realize that I had to be proactive about seeking clients. Like, that's not a joke. I really didn't. It was something that dawned on me after, and I was like, oh goodness, I gotta figure this out. And so in terms of figuring it out, I love learning. So I started to consume all this information about marketing and about branding and about this and about that and about online. And I was just like hungry. Like I was hungry for the information. I was hungry to see my law firm grow. I was hungry to figure this thing out. And so one of the things that I realized is that, hey, if lawyers want to get clients, we have to be findable. We have to be findable, right? And what does that mean? It means that people who have the problems that we solve must be able to locate us. And I feel like there are a couple of different ways, but I think that there are two primary ways. I think that there are two primary ways in the 21st century to be found by the clients that you're looking for. Two. Those two ways, I would say, are by referrals and by SEO. And ideally, those two worlds should be together, right? Now, referrals, let's talk about that one first. Referrals is a tried and tested method. You hear people talk about it, and it still works. Like, I go back and I look at my numbers. I do a lot of digital marketing, but I see the numbers that are associated with my referrals, and it still works because those people have a certain level of trust in you that is imputed from the trust that their friend or whoever recommended you brought them to, right? So that happens, and it's really powerful to receive a referral in that way. And so you need to, if you're trying to grow your business, you cannot neglect referrals. You can't neglect trying to cultivate them. You can't neglect trying to make, making people in your community know that you exist. Listen, I'm somebody, it's so funny that I am here using video and on social media and talking about things because I like most people, I don't want to do the self-promotion thing. It feels icky. It feels like, oh, I got to talk about myself. But at the end of the day, if you really want to make a difference, if you really want to help people, and if you really want to grow your business, you have to. I can't see another way. Like, and let's say, and let me say it this way too. You don't always have to just talk about yourself, but you can just talk about your people's problems, right? Talk about their questions. You have to be in a place where they know, right, that they can trust you. And so when people around you, your friends, families know the problems that you solve, they are in a position where they can refer people to you. And then when you are working with your clients, they find out these are the problems this person solves, they can refer people to you. So referrals are still critical. The other element that I would say helps attorneys, helps legal professionals stay findable in today's day and age is SEO, search engine optimization. Like, you're living under a rock if you think people aren't Googling, right? If you think people are not like, okay, www.google.com, so-and-so lawyer near me. People are still doing that. They will ask for referrals and they'll probably put greater weight on the referrals that they receive. But if they don't have anybody to ask or they're embarrassed about the situation, they're going to the interwebs, as a friend of mine once said. They're going online and they're looking and they're trying to find out, okay, does this person exist? Is there anyone near me? And here's the thing about SEO. SEO is awesome. It's really powerful. But the way that we've built our brands, the way that we talk about the things that we do for many lawyers is really, it's kind of lame. I apologize if I'm being too direct or too casual. I'm just being me, and I want you to understand. And I say that it's lame in the sense that we don't actually do anything that makes people know that we're different. If you look at your website and you look at everybody else's, it probably is the same. Like, if you didn't know anything about, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, we all put that we got our JD from this law school or that law school. Does the regular consumer really care? Like, unless you're going to a really top tier school in the nation or a top tier one in your community, people don't care about that. Oh, you're part of this association or that association. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. I'm so sorry. This sounds insensitive. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I've already gone through the healing process of recognizing that they don't care. I've put all the associations and I still leave them up there, but I know that they don't care about that as much as I want them to, right? So when they're getting to my website or they're getting to somebody else's website, they're getting to your website, can they tell the difference between how you will solve their problem and someone else will solve their problem, right? Or there's something about the way you will approach the situation, the way you will approach them, your process, or something that tells them that you're different. Right? There's a person that I like. Her name is Sally Hogshead. And she says, better. Oh, I'm going to mess up the quote. I'm going to find it and I'm going to post it somewhere. But essentially, it's like different is better than better. right? In the sense that it's better for you to distinguish yourself than to just be actually better, because people can't tell the difference. And I think that that's super important for legal professionals to understand and grasp. Listen, I'm a former educator, and I empathize because we spent thousands and thousands of dollars in the legal field or the legal schools, in our law schools to learn this profession, but they did not teach us business for the most part. They did not teach us this. So please, from one educator turned attorney, I'm trying to help you learn what they didn't tell us. We have to learn how to distinguish ourselves. We cannot leave it up to chance. We cannot, brush it aside, or we're going to be leaving money on the table. So I want to encourage you today, as you are continuing to think about what you can do in your law practice to kind of find clients, is I want you to ask yourself, what am I doing to be findable? What am I doing to be findable? And before I actually wrap this up, what just came to my mind is the idea that being findable is more important, I think, than being persuasive. We've been trained in the art of persuasion, so we want to try and change people's minds. But here's another thing about the way people really act. People make emotional decisions. I know they try and act like they're logical, but they don't. They make emotional decisions and they justify it with the logic that we give them, right? And so when people are making decisions about who to hire, it's really based off of an emotion. It's based off of, okay, maybe it's a sense of desperation. I need somebody now, right? I need somebody who I feel like I can trust. I need somebody who I think is competent, right? Their feelings, they're things that they don't actually always even have all the proof, but they will look for the proof to justify it. So they're like, oh, I feel like this might be a good person. Let me check their reviews. I feel like this might be a good person. Let me look at their website. I feel like this might be a good person. Let me do this thing to justify my emotional feeling. Now, in those instances, right, where you're working with people, you want to make sure, again, that you're findable, right, more than just persuasive. Because what I find is sometimes we try to persuade people to hire us who are not ready to hire us, instead of being available to the people who are ready to hire us. Do you hear the subtle difference? There's a group of people who you can help, but they are not ready for your help. Again, there are a group of people who you can help. There are a group of people who you have the legal resources and knowledge and information to help them. But if they are not ready to be helped, if they have not made an emotional decision, if the pain that they feel for their problem is not sufficient enough, or the pleasure that they think that they're going to receive on the other end of action is not intense enough, they're not going to move forward with you. But there is a group of people who have those same problems, who are in a different emotional state. They are already in that place of pain or pleasure, right, where they feel like this person, this legal thing is the next step. Those are the people that you need to be findable by. It's gonna take a weight off your shoulder. These are the people that you're not gonna have to try and convince. You're not gonna try and have to prove anything to them. They're gonna be like, I want you to be my lawyer. I want you to handle this legal matter for me. And so, as we round up for real this time, I want you to be asking yourself, what can I do this week to be more findable? All right. Now, if you find this to be helpful, I am trying to help more attorneys level up their branding, level up the way that they communicate, specifically using digital marketing, and especially using video. And so as part of that, I have this awesome starter kit with two things that I think will be really valuable to you. There's an equipment guide. So if you're like, Tammy, what camera are you using? What's your lighting setup? What's your microphone setup? All of those goodies. I tell you all of that in the equipment guide. And I also have a YouTube script. So if you're interested in those things, I want you to go to www.videoforlawyers.co, not .com, .co. And I want you to sign up to receive the to receive the video scripting guide and the equipment guide. And as part of that, I have a bonus for you. There is a starter kit that I have created that is free $99 that you will get a special invitation to when you access these other resources. So if you are interested, go to, again, www.videosforlawyers.co, and I will see you on the other side. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.